Your next stop is your success. And clear of negative ions, please.
And Sofrito. Woo-hoo!
What's going? Oh wait, sorry. What's going on, girl?
Nothing. Chilling.
That was crazy what I just did. They probably like, oh, she sniffed coat. No, my
Oh,
nose is just
Lord
itching.
Jesus. You know I'm keeping this, right?
So I have a question
Oh, Lord Jesus.
with regards to the video that I sent you earlier
Mhm.
about the educator. And so I'm going to play this video and hopefully you guys can hear. I'm sure you can hear it.
Mhm.
What this educator was told to do in her school. So here we go.
Scottie was fired as a teacher from Garupa Valley.
I hit the volume and it went to something else.
So I'll play it. So
I mean,
Jessica Tapia was fired as a teacher from Garupa Valley High School for refusing to hide students' gender preferences from parents.
If I were to ever find out about a student's gender or pronoun preference, that I was to withhold that from parents. And I said, are you asking me to lie to parents? And they said, yes, we are talking about minors. Their brain is not fully developed. The decision-making portal in that brain it's not fully developed, and they need their parents at this time for everything they're going through, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you name it. Parents should.
so my question is, and as an educator, this is so good. So my question is to you first, before we get into the educational part of it.
Mhm.
What is a parent to you? What is a parent?
What is a parent to me?
A parent. Like a parent, like how we a mother, father. What's a parent?
A parent is a parent.
That's not the definition of a parent.
A parent is someone who is obviously, I don't want to use the word overseeing, but oversees a young child, making sure that they're developing emotionally, socially, mentally, as best as possible. You're trying to make them as balanced an individual as possible so that they can succeed in life. That's how I look at it as a parent, someone who's kind of overseeing a child.
Right, and they provide guidance
Everything, all of that
and they
stuff is a part.
spirituality, and they feed them and clothe them.
You're
So it would be
mothering them.
fair to say that a parent's job is probably knows the child better than anyone at that age, because they're really not going to someone else and saying, confiding in them like how they would do if they were older. Certain people may know something about your child more than you, but I mean to know like how they are when they're in the home and sleeping and doing this. So I would think it was fair to say, as parents, we at that age, that young age like that, we know our children better than anybody else.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you feel about a parent's rights being taken away from them in that form?
I definitely don't agree with that. There's a lot that I'm not really agreeing with the trajectory of education in this present day. So I do agree. So first, I do agree with what you're saying, that the parent knows a child best. But on the other side, I've been confronted with situations where the parent really doesn't know the kid as well as they think they know the child, because we're with the kids Monday through Friday a lot longer than they are with their own parents, right? 8 hours, sometimes even 10 hours a day. If there's like an after school programming, parents
Right.
pick up the kids, eat, shower, sleep, do homework, whatever the case may be. And there's a lot of times that the children act a lot differently when they're in school around with their peers than they do at home. And me having I've witnessed students kind of questioning their sexuality and also like diving into the prospects of dating same genders where the parents are completely oblivious to their child, sort of dipping the toe into this pond of trying to figure out their own sexuality. But at home, little Johnny is little Johnny, or little Susie is little Susie. What I'm about to say, some people may not agree with, but I do believe that there's a difference between where a mom is able to detect those differences in their child with a boy and a girl. I've seen boys very, very young kind of model that feminine side of curiosity at a very young age, where a person will say, wow, this kid might follow that trajectory because according to society, most boys don't display that feminine side, right? Where a little girl, most people, society kind of be like, oh, she's a tomboy. They don't really associate it and connect it with a sexuality. Where a boy who's acting more like a girl, they don't say, I don't want to say a tom girl, but they should really kind of come up with a phrase, right? You understand what I mean?
I do, but I think we're getting away from the thing that we did. Like, it's really well, from I think we're getting away from it. Where is so you feel like, because you said that a parent is oblivious, almost oblivious to what's going on. So do you feel that it's a right of the school to keep the parent even more oblivious by not telling them that their child is in school and they identify as this?
I agree.
So that yeah, that's so I'm trying to say, do you think that the school how do you feel about schools saying that you guys are going to literally like lose your jobs and get in trouble if you tell a parent that there if you don't disclose, if you disclose what the child is, in school, like they don't want you to disclose it, but you disclose it to the
Well, I
parent.
don't agree with that because I believe that a parent should be aware of everything that the child is going through. Children are very, very impressionable, right? Dealing with sexuality and attaching yourself to a certain pronoun, if you're supposed to be a she and you're attaching yourself to a he or vice versa, that does something to the psyche, right? And as they mentioned, it's a proven fact that children's frontal lobes are not developed yet, right? They're still trying to find who they are. And so for you to kind of take that away from the parent, I think that the parent all has the right to know what's going on so that they know how to address those concerns, whether it is, really depending on the age of the child, tapping in, okay, this might be a possibility that the child might be going through this, or let's talk about it, or let's do therapy to figure out what you're really feeling. You kind of rob the parent from the ability to kind of deal with their own child and what they're going through, because we're nurturers by nature, right? And so it's going to be our goal to kind of nurture whatever feelings they're having. And the school, by saying that, it takes that away from the parent. And also, it's wrong for a school to tell a teacher that you can't communicate. You're supposed to be able to communicate anything that goes on with the child, whether it's academics, whether it is social emotional behavior, whether it is mental instability. These are all things that as educators we're supposed to communicate to the parent so that we know as a team how to navigate forward and how to address those concerns to best fit that child so that that child can function the proper way.
I just feel like it just takes away from you being a parent in that situation. How do you parent something when you don't know what's going on? So for you to jump in now and say that this child that's a minor can now make a decision for themselves in that area, but they can't make a decision for themselves in this area. They can't go out and buy alcohol, but they can not tell their parents that they're identifying as another you may say race. Well, people identify as different races, but as another, boy or girl. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy how we do that in this country. You know what I mean? Like they can't do this, but they can keep their sexuality a secret away from their parent. And for you to now put it on the teacher to say you're going to lose your job if you speak on this to the parent, it's just crazy, because how do I parent now in that area if I don't know? How do I meet them there? How do I love them there in that space if I don't know what's going on there?
Exactly. And to kind of bring the conversation full circle, or where I was sort of going off
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit, what made me kind of lead that way is because recently there was a report of the day that it was like Pride Day.
Hmm.
They were actually, well, one school was highlighted, but I believe that there were a couple of schools that actually had a whole celebration. And I get it. We want to celebrate everyone's differences, everyone's differences, who people are. You want to celebrate that. So I get it in that sense.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is how a child that may not be part of the LGBT and associate themselves to that community, why is it being kind of forced down? It's kind of being forced upon them, especially at such an impressionable age. So what are your thoughts on that? So this school had, literally, the teachers were dressed down, the kids came in like in their costumes, those who were already comfortable in what their sexuality preferences is at this young age, came in with maybe like a wig and maybe like some lip balm and some nails. And they had like these big banners. And as a kid, every kid, we know that it's a small percentage, right? Not every kid is going to be part of the LGBT community.
Hmm.
So that day it was like a big celebration. Oh, welcome. And they were giving out all this LGBT paraphernalia, shirts and flags and stuff to all kids of all ages and all races. What is your thoughts about that? First, as just your thoughts, period, as a parent, but then,
Hmm.
yeah, just your thoughts as a parent, or just in general about that.
So I think that that is, people will have a lot to say about you having a difference of feeling, but what about when it's we celebrate Black history? What about when we celebrate everybody's not Black, but I can't change the color of who I am. I can't
Mhm,
change not being Black, just is not a color, but you know what I
mhm,
mean. Like I think that those two things are, and that's when people would try to do that kind of tit for tat,
mhm,
uh, right there. I think that I don't agree with it. That, and this is just me, not, if that's what they're doing in the school, and people don't see, the thing I don't like is when you don't agree with it, and say, you say, I don't want to participate in this. Say you go even that far, I don't want to participate in this because I don't believe.
mhm, mhm,
You're going to be called this or that. You're going to be like, you're a hater. You're bashing that, when it's nothing, none of that. I love you.
mhm,
This is just not what I agree with. So
mhm.
I think to put, especially for kids, that's when it's really young children, because this woman was an elementary school teacher. So
And this happened
when
to
it's really young,
younger
right?
kids.
When
Yeah,
it's really young children, I feel like they're so impressionable. I mean, we're impressionable. Social media is just an impressionable
it is. It is.
vehicle. So it doesn't matter if you keep saying, oh, if you are on social media all the time, you're going to be influenced by something.
That's something, of
Something
course.
on there is going to influence you. And for a child who's so still impressionable and forming and still in that state of I'm following because I really don't know who I am. So, oh, you
Mhm,
doing that, so I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
I don't agree with it there, but I mean, we could be here for another 2 hours just on that. So,
Tell me about it. I mean, I personally think that um like parents should be made aware and given the
sure.
choice, right? Because you have to really take into considerations everyone's beliefs.
I
Um,
just think it just, I'm sorry, sis, to cut
no,
your
go ahead. No, go ahead.
knowledge off. Yeah, I just think it's a disrespect for parents. I think it's a disrespect for parenting. I
Mhm,
think it's just a total lack of respect for parenting now. It's
mhm,
just trying to like eliminate parenting. It's like, how can I be the most successful, the most um knowledgeable, the most loving, the most giving parent when I don't know what I'm giving these things to? That I don't know that my child is thinking these kind of thoughts, because you're able to as a school system now to keep that huge of a thing away from a parent.
Yeah, yeah. But you
Wow.
know what? It's actually over sexuality, whether it is for the LGBT community or whether it is um, just sex talk in itself, that's happening. It's getting younger and younger. Those conversations, what these elementary age kids are privy to and exposed to, is not just the LGBT community. It's just everything about sexuality right now.
Mhm.
Our kids, I cannot see myself parenting such a young kid, because it's like these conversations are hard to have with young kids who really cannot grasp the full scope of what it is. And as parents, we know if our children are, you know, part of the LGBT community. Some parents know from young, when the kids are young, whether or not their child. Some parents have already had those conversations with their children and have accepted them for not being a male or a female, of
Mhm.
feeling different. I just think that as a whole, our kids are exposed to so much. I remember growing up, there was such an innocence. I was playing with Barbie dolls till I was about 14 years old, 13 years old. The conversation about, and of course, there wasn't any social media. So I wasn't exposed to anything. Maybe a little kissing. You used to play, kiss tag or hide and seek and kiss and things like that. Little things like that. But the amount of information that our young kids are exposed to, that's so concerning. Whether it is LGBT, I could care less if it's LBGT that you've been exposed to, or whether you're giving out, having those sex talks with my 8-year-old. Just the sexuality scope in a school system for
Yeah.
very young kids, that's what bothers me. It has nothing to do with the LGBT, it has nothing to do with same sex, different sex, whatever. It's just that whole conversation for kids that cannot even process. You're expecting them to process this information the way an adult will process. And some adults have a hard time processing it. How do you expect a child? And it's everywhere, every commercial, every show, every social media platform. As parents, we have no choice but to sit our 6 and 7-year-olds and have sex talks with them. We have no
Yeah.
choice, because
I
the
agree.
world
I
is going to gear them.
Yeah, I agree with that 100. The only part I don't agree with is that I do feel like I feel more of a I don't want anyone talking to my child about transgender. I don't
I don't either.
it's not. I do feel like that one is a little bit more media, and something that I want to take on the
Mhm.
task of teaching my child.
Yeah.
I feel sexuality is different because that's something that everybody is going to go through.
Mhm.
Everybody's not going to go through those feelings of not knowing, identifying with whom they are sexually. So that's why I have a serious problem with someone else outside of the parents. And for you to be able to, as a school system, to be given these rights to not tell a parent that, again,
Amazing.
I'll just keep being repeating myself. It's just so selfish, and it takes away from you being an effective parent
Thank
by
you.
by me not knowing that my child is identifying like this. Like, if they come home and they put on this whole facade to keep being who they
Mhm.
feel, that I need them to be, and
Mhm.
not being who they are. I don't know how to be. They might think that I'm being cruel. They may think that I'm not being understanding. I don't even know that my child is having these emotions because of you as a school system keep that shit away from me.
And
No.
I've actually seen it take place.
Right. I'm
Um,
sure.
I've seen it take place, and the parents were aware, but where students, wanted to be called a different name, or in public schools, I don't want to say in all of them, but at a young age they have the preference to use whatever facility that they want to use. It's just so much. But you know what's so funny? That we can impose, because it's really initially, essentially, it is adult views imposed onto children's views, right? It's not children views imposed onto children views. And if that's the case, bring the parents on, have the parents come in, sit down on a panel, have the kids involved, and have a big old community conversation for those parents who want to partake in something like that. But what's funny is that, yo, we can't even talk about God in the public school system.
I mean, it just shows you, the condition and state of, where these things are being polarized and being hyper sexualization is popular and is everywhere. But talking about the Lord, or showing a nuclear family is, as soon as you do that, you're like,
It's kind of
this
like
you're,
obsolete.
you're obsolete. You're being offensive. Where the two can live together. That's the thing too. Like you can have
Hello.
your opinion and your lifestyle, and I can have mine.
And
And
that's
why do me not agreeing with it has to be me being prejudiced or being.
no, not at all. It's everyone has in their mind the way that they want to raise your kid, and that is your truth. And no one can say, I mean, unless you're abusing your kid,
Right.
that it's completely wrong. Everyone has different beliefs. Everyone, different parents will, raise their kids a certain
I'm
way
about to fall on the floor. I'm sorry.
and expose them to certain things where my culture, bringing it back to brown sugar and sofrito, there's a lot of things that were not talked about. That's taboo in the Hispanic. I could speak for the Puerto Rican culture where a sex talk in my house. Are you kidding me? I had
And
to
see,
find out from my friends, not even in school, because that wasn't even a conversation in school.
I just think it's just so different now. No, like even in Spanish cultures, and or it's different now. Like these things, you don't have to. They're there. Like you have to, like in life, you just have to make adjustments. Like being a parent now is different than being a parent when we were parents, when our kids were younger.
Yeah.
Like it's always going to be an adjustment to how parenting is because of the times.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you know what I mean. So what happened in the household back when we were children?
It's
They
completely
would be like, this is a fucking Partridge Family or some shit. Like what's like, like what? And me just saying the Partridge Family, people probably like, what the hell is the Partridge Family?
family. Oh my God, that's funny.
It's giving very like Brady Bunch to them. It would be now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they would be like, what is that? So
Mhm.
it definitely has a lot to do with the times. But girl, oh,
Yeah, it's different. It's different. But I still think that the parents should have the
yes, indeed,
they should have the right.
absolutely.
But although there's a school in one of our boroughs that is a school that is a charter school that is specifically catered to children who have already identified who they are.
Mhm.
And so they promote that because that's the umbrella, that's what the school promotes. And so the students that go there, are students that identify with, you know those
I
the
hope that.
different
I mean, for
pronouns and
me,
stuff.
that sounds good. I mean, I'm going to say this quickly, and then I don't even want to talk about it because that can lead to a whole nother thing in this.
Mhm.
But I think that you should have that, just like they should have sports for them, for people that
Mhm.
identify that were one gender and now they identify as another. Just because
Oh,
like I
yeah.
said, that would be a whole thing. But I hope that in the school that they are providing resources too, where if the child says now that, you know what, I've had some life experience, I've
Mhm.
gone through some things. I don't identify as that anymore. I hope they have some resources for those children as well. Because
I'm
you're gonna have,
sure.
you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have those children who are
Yeah.
gonna be like, you know what, I'm not
Mhm.
transgender.
Yeah. I'm
So
sure, but that's I mean, that's good to have in the in that community
yeah,
so that
because
you know
you can hone in and deal, and
exactly.
dive in on this. Yeah,
And children who identify don't have to feel ostracized in a community that's mostly heterosexual, you
Right.
know, in a community where they will feel celebrated and people understand their uniqueness. But
Yeah.
anyway, girl, so that was a little spicy. So I think I have something else that might be a little spicy.
I love it. Come on.
So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the N word.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
And this N
Wait,
word,
damn, I don't have no more drink here. Wow.
you need to get up. You need a little something for the N word.
Need a little something for the N word.
So some people look at the N word as such a horrible word. It's attached to such a horrible history and background. And so and then some people are not happy that the N word is still used in our community and in the music, in certain music genres, the N word is always thrown left and right. What are your thoughts about the N word? And do you, as a person, find, well, that's the same thing. Do you find it offensive? Or do you feel that there's a certain time, there's a difference with the meaning of how the word, the connotation of
Yeah.
the word? What do you say?
I'd say I do feel differently on who uses it.
Okay.
If you said the N word, people would like, bitch, what? Yeah, go ahead. I would still just be talking like I ain't even hear you say nothing. Do I like it to be used all the time? No, because I think it brings down a low level, a low vibration just from the stuff that's attached to it. But I get how it's also where people use it to say now that we took that, that power away from it, of it being a negative thing. Well, out me saying that out loud is like, you took the power away from it. How? Because you use it to call somebody else a nigga. I'm kind of like in my head as I'm saying it out loud right now, like what? Yeah. So you could, okay, like I was saying, you could say it. One, any of my Caucasian friends could not say that around me. You understand? There is a struggle that is attached to that word. There is conflict, there's pain, misery, distress, affliction. I mean, I could just go on and on. Terror, horrificness, like everything up under the sun that's attached to that word. Unfortunately, you are not a person who inflicted that word on me, but your ancestors did. And I can't hear you say it.
Period.
Period. Period. No, seriously, you understand? Like, we are the only people. Like, I think it's a lot of things that black people say that we just need to stop saying. Like, oh, I can't do this because I'm black. Oh, because they do it held me back. Cause like, there's a lot of things that definitely are, but we are the only people that have been brought to this country unwillingly. Everybody else that's an immigrant that's here, because they came on their own.
Their own, you're absolutely correct.
You understand what I'm saying? So there is that trauma from that.
Yeah.
You understand? You gonna tell when I hear people, ignorant people say, "Yo, go back home." What? This is home. Thank you very much.
Hello.
She was born here. Her parents were born here. Her grandparents was born here, and I was born over here. Yes, you know what I mean. Like, don't say that. Yeah. So it's a lot that goes with that word. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And there's actually also within the yeah, I do not have the hiccups right now. What is that? I'm too old for the hiccups. Let me drink some water.
So drink some lime water.
One tea. I'm gonna have to hold my breath. So with that word, what's so crazy is even within the Black and the Hispanic communities, I've heard conversations where if you are of my complexion, it's okay to say the word because you're my complexion. I know that you Black, except you speak.
Well, see, I mean, you about to what we was
Open
talking
up
about
another can
earlier.
of words. Open up another can of words.
Yeah, because you are black,
I sure am.
right?
I 100%.
And your boat, like we said, landed in over there.
Instead of here.
Yeah.
That's the
So
only difference. But
yeah,
with the there was a conversation where the lighter skin Hispanic, if they say it, some people feel like they shouldn't say the word. But for me, the word, like you said, I don't know, it's just kind of cultural. Um, it's just changed so much throughout the years. It's almost like using the word bitch, right? The word bitch changed where you'll say, well, no, can't use the word the same though, because it really has two different
let me say, and that's it as well. Like the N word is, and the fact that we saying N word, it
instead
just
of
the fact that we're saying N word shows that there is a level of trauma and it doesn't feel good attached to that word, because we don't need, you understand what I'm saying, just from us saying the N word, we don't even want to say that word, so it's more trauma and everything attached to it than I think then it is taking back the power from it and all that kind of stuff. But where it can land it can land better when it's coming from somebody that is of the same race.
Exactly.
Where it's not coming from somebody who that race brought that trauma on those people. You understand? Yeah. So that's how I feel about that.
So do you think that, well, no, I think you answered it already. Should it still be in our music? Do you think that the children should still play it in our music? Or should we take the ownership back by removing it from certain platforms?
Then that's getting into like censorship and stuff like that, right? Like
that's true when you think of it.
It's I just think it needs to be education on it. Like it really needs to be not swept underneath the rug and not tried to make pretty. It needs to be taught for the ugliness that it is. And then I think people need to make a decision from there.
Yeah. And exactly. And most people know when to say it, who not to say it around. The fact that we're saying the N word right now, it's proof that obviously it might be
trauma behind that word, right?
Yeah. Some of our audience. So we're obviously being very strategic and making sure that we respect, other people.
But we just did it because it doesn't even feel good coming out. It doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good coming out. So that's why we're actually saying that. Yeah, yes, of course it is to the point that you made, being respectful of people, but it just doesn't feel good. Yeah.
Oh, that was interesting. We're really saucy today.
This is all I normally look at. No,
I know.
I'm a low-key nerd.
Okay, so
I'm gonna take it in another direction of the sharp. What's a U-turn? This way? This way.
You turn the wrong way.
I'm gonna make a sharp left. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you some like random questions right now.
Oh Lord Jesus.
Is that cool?
I don't like your random questions.
My random questions are fun today. They're not like thought-provoking or anything.
I gotta imagine this is a coconut mojito right now.
Yes, coconut mojito. Okay. Picture this. You're stranded on a deserted island.
Oh Lord Jesus.
If you could only have one man there with you, I'm going to give you your choices.
Oh, my choices. I thought I could make my own.
No, that's too easy.
That's why I was like, this is easy.
Mark Anthony. Idris Elba.
Ooh.
Boris Cujo.
Oh. All right, so you already know. Boris and Idris, those are like my eye candy. And then they both have those cute little accents too. But my
Mhm.
Mark Anthony honey could sing to me all day long at the beach at the stranded island. You know I gotta go with my Mark Anthony, baby.
Okay.
Oh,
One
God.
more. What is your favorite sitcom theme song?
Oh man. God, that means I gotta remember.
Well, just think, don't go too deep. Like, just think surface, like what's popping up.
What's popping up right now? Honestly, we gotta move on up.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. I have two. And I can't even believe one of them.
Oh, good times. Hello.
I can't think of how it starts, and it's so crazy because I watch this show still now all the time.
I couldn't remember any of the starting songs either.
But I love the Greatest American Hero theme song.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God,
Love
how
the
good
Greatest
is that?
American.
That is a good
My
theme
show.
song.
That was
In
my
the gold
show.
in the Golden Girls theme song.
Oh, that's cute.
Love those. Love.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay, I have one more. One more,
Okay,
one
go.
more, one more, one more. Maybe that was it. Okay. Oh, so you can only take. No, I'm gonna change it now that I see these two names out here.
Oh, damn, Gina.
If you had to pick out of Tony Braxton, Mary J. Blige, or Sierra, who you picking?
Ooh. It's gonna be between Mary, because that's my girl.
Right.
Between Sierra, because she's gonna keep me. But I think it's gonna be
Ah.
Mary. Because I love me some Sierra. I love Sierra. But Mary, she speaks to my spirit. Her song. So I love me some Mary.
Got it. Okay.
That was cute.
That's
Ew.
Do you have anything? Because you got up on me last week.
No.
Okay.
That was last week. We good. We good. We good.
So what else are we gonna talk about now? Do you have anything else?
No, we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay. Until next time on the web.
Oh.
I knew you was gonna say that. You know why I knew you was gonna say that? Because I always said that. Until next time on. Oh God.
Ooh, brown sugar and sofrito. Whoa.